When ChatGPT arrived in 2023, the world went AI crazy. Suddenly, every company was shouting about its AI credentials.
AI.
But we've seen this movie before. A few years ago, everyone was shouting about blockchain.
Blockchain.
Not all those companies built useful products. So, how do we separate AI fact from AI fiction? Because the truth is that when many companies claim to have transformative AI features, it's usually just a chatbot. The answer is to focus on industries like fintech, where AI is already making a measurable difference. For instance, EY, the Big Four accounting firm, has used AI to detect fraud, according to the Financial Times. After all, artificial intelligence can scour vast data sets and spot anomalies in seconds, work that would take human beings months, if not years. But perhaps the biggest potential for fintech AI is in payroll and payments. Payroll is a data-heavy, labour-intensive business that requires a lot of manual processes, from creating compliant contracts in different languages to reconciling data and uploading journal entries. Finance teams are often snowed under by legwork when they could be doing brain work, like building a payroll strategy. And then you actually have to pay people. That means juggling foreign exchange volatility, partnerships with local banks, and predicting funding requirements to make sure you don't run short of working capital or leave capital undeployed. All of this complexity gets exponentially more difficult as you scale around the world. More countries, more currencies, more employment laws. It's a huge headache. AI can help with all of that. But how? Well, we've got Amit Levy, a payroll AI expert, in the studio to explain. Over to Jessica and Amit.
Thanks, Alex. Amit, AI in payroll and payments. Is it all hype, or is it ready to be taken seriously?
I think this is the best time to be in this field. Global payroll traditionally is a services-based industry. You have people calculating payroll. This is now phasing out, and the new era of global payroll is tech. Tech first. You look at SaaS solutions that can improve global payroll operations, that can streamline global payroll operations. A recent report by Gartner shows that over 80% of top CFOs are looking to actively invest in AI in order to improve their enterprise. And the idea of consolidating payroll and payments together is the next generation of global payroll payments.
So if I'm a global payroll manager, what can AI do for me day to day?
So the fact you ask is a win by itself. And the best thing to do is just to ask AI. So let's just open maybe Copilot. So as a global payroll manager, how can I use AI to improve my day today?
Okay. There's lots here. Number one, enhanced efficiency and accuracy.
Yeah, this like makes total sense. Think of the amount of manual work that is done in order to calculate payroll today, in order to even ingest payroll today. Data validations, those things can be AI'd.
So replacing those mundane tasks and calculations, I see. The second one, real-time data insights.
Yeah, so payroll isn't really real-time in its nature, but the ability to drive insights out of the payroll, again, is something that AI can really help with. Have the average salary went up, went down, understanding questions about employee churn, employee retention, maybe gender inequality, things like that. AI can really understand and even provide notifications. And all of this eventually enables data-based decision-making.
All right, employee experience and engagement. How does AI fit into such a human aspect of payroll?
Payroll is first and foremost about your employees. And you gotta make sure they get amazing experience. Employers today are fighting over talent. And getting great payroll experience wherever you are in the world, getting the same experience, whatever type of employee you are, makes a world of difference. Again, with AI, you can see, understand how your employees experience the payroll. Another point that is very important to talk about is time. Payroll is a matter of time. Payroll cycle is about how fast you operate through it. So using AI, you can significantly shorter payroll calculation time, and that lends itself to better experience to your employees. There is a consistent experience. When an employee gets its paycheck for the first time, the employees have lots of questions. They want to understand, what is that tax deduction? Why is the net not as much as I expected? And think of a world when employees can interact with their payslip and ask it questions, and it can help answer.
Oh, amazing.
So generative AI is also making its way into the world of payroll.
That's really interesting. If I have questions about my payslip, I might not reach the person in my payroll department right away and then forget to ask later. Here, I have an assistant or, to help answer all my burning questions.
Yeah, 100%. With AI, it's not like you have 1 or 10 payroll experts in your company. You have thousands of payroll experts in your company, and your employees can interact with them.
And I'm sure we have lots of questions. And lastly, scalability and flexibility. How does AI introduce those features?
So scalability is just built in to AI. For AI, if this is 1 employee or 1,000 employees or 10,000 employees, it's the same. And when managing global payroll operations for multiple regions, you can basically run the payroll cycle, make everything as scalable as it is with the same manpower.
So that ties back into those manual efforts. But what about the flexibility? What does that mean that AI makes it more flexible?
For people, it's really hard to learn new stuff and understand new things. For AI, it's much easier. When you replace personnel, new personnel needs to learn everything up top, and you lose a lot of knowledge. With AI, the knowledge is always within your organization. You can just use it, train it for whatever it is you want, and it will learn it, and you will be able to leverage it going forward.
There is a lot here that I can expect AI to do for me. Can I simply let it run payroll autonomously?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. So I would choose my tasks wisely. For everything that is data-oriented, data calculations, data validations, data enrichment, AI is really good. But then there's the other part of payroll. Payroll is not only about data. Payroll is also about people and compliance and regulations. I will not use AI to replace that part of payroll. AI cannot replace legal consultants. AI cannot replace local experts. AI can help and assist, but I will always consult with experts when it comes to, let's call it, complex payroll issues.
So AI is going to help me really take care of the technical work that needs to get done and that takes up so much of my time. But when it gets to the expertise, I'm left to focus on that.
Yeah, so AI can help there as well, but AI is not a tool to trust. You gotta trust experts. When it comes to classification, for example, I would not trust AI to classify my employees. You would need to consult with a person that knows the local regulations, that understands any rules and compliance that is recent, and can give an answer that is timely and accurate.
So how do I know when and where AI can be a good fit for payroll and payments?
So in order to know if a problem is a good problem for AI, let's look at some simple questions. 1, do we have data? And in payroll, we have lots of data. Data is like air for AI. When we are in a data-rich environment, AI can thrive. Second thing, let's explore patterns. If the patterns are consistent, if things are repetitive, then AI becomes better. And again, most of payroll is a very repetitive process. Next question is the goal is to predict or classify? And again, AI is really successful in classifying. Based on the data-rich environment, AI can also help forecast and predict things, which is very important in payroll. One big problem about payroll is that as a CFO, you want to understand how much money do you need to have ready for your next payroll cycle. And forecasting the amount of funding that is needed is quite a cumbersome job. And accurately forecasting the amount of funding that is needed can make a significant difference in your working capital. So top CFOs these days are using AI to forecast the amount of funds they will need for the next payroll cycle, both for employees and authorities payments. And lastly, you want to ask yourself if the task is clearly defined. And payroll payments is a very clearly defined task. And AI is really good at that situation.
Let's say I have rules for my organization's expense policy. If I can teach AI that policy language, how can AI help in that
Yeah, I think
situation?
It's a great example because expenses is a very well-defined issue and you want to give your employees great service. So if, for example, you teach the AI your expense policy, then AI can understand whether the next expense reimbursement request is valid or invalid and can define, decide, or help the people that needs to decide whether to reimburse or not.
Okay, this all sounds wonderful, but what are the risks to bear in mind?
Payroll is a very personal business. And what I just showed you earlier is a public tool. You don't want to go and expose any employees' personal information in public tools. When you work with payroll data, you gotta understand that the data you work with is very sensitive. You can't just use it out there in any public AI tool. You gotta only work with tools that respect that sensitivity, meaning that are secured, that are certified to use payroll data. The same way I don't send employee data over email, I will not send just employee data to any AI tool. And the other thing is, AI can also drive wrong conclusions. And you gotta be able to cross-validate what AI gives you. You can't just let it run on its own. You gotta be able to see or monitor its results in order to be able to identify things when they go wrong.
So you're building the guardrails for AI, for the AI instance.
So when you work with a vendor that is proficient in the field, you should expect to see those guardrails.
Mm-hmm. What kind of things will they notice, or what kind of things are they going to monitor in terms of keeping those guardrails? If patterns are patterns, how does that change over time?
Yeah, so the world of monitoring AI in production is a big world. There are companies that all they do is monitoring AI in production. But eventually, what you do is you look at the patterns and you try to identify changes in patterns. So if there are changes in what AI now gives you in an AI output, you need to understand what caused those changes. Is it something in reality that changed, or maybe something in the AI brains changed?
But are there any tasks or other areas in which you would not trust AI to be involved?
Yes. Compliance issues, rules and regulations, I would not trust AI. You should always have an expert. For example, when it comes to payroll discrepancies, we always see in every cycle there are discrepancies and you want to understand them. I would not trust AI to understand the discrepancies. If you want to understand data discrepancies, you need to have an expert to approve the discrepancy, to understand what's the cause and to say whether or not it's valid.
AI is there to help us identify discrepancies, but not explain them.
That's exactly the point.
Okay.
It's really good at identifying things. You cannot trust it to explain those things. You cannot trust it to understand rules. Mm-hmm. You can trust it to understand patterns.
Is there a lapse from law and regulation changes to AI knowledge?
Yes. So different AI engines scan different legal sources and databases. When you use an AI tool, you don't know if it's updated on the recent laws in that location that you're in. A lawyer is certified. AI isn't. It's just a really good helper.
Okay, I'm sold. Now, where do I begin with my AI journey?
This question is great because you gotta roll with the flow. It's here. AI is happening today, and just doing the first step is very important. And the first step, I would take an easy step. I will take it on a personal level. So first, just experiment with AI. Interact with it. Go to Gemini. Go to ChatGPT. Talk with it. Generate images online. You can generate songs online. Mm-hmm. It's really easy. You can just write it and it works for you. Just don't be afraid. That's the first step. Do it personally. There's no risk in it. Mm-hmm. Once you have some feel of it, you understand how to write prompts, you're less afraid. Next step is to take it maybe internally. Think, how can you use it for small tasks within your team? Research the different vendors in the field. Try to understand how can you use it professionally. And the third step, once you understand the two first elements, is to maybe take it to the enterprise level. Think, how can you champion AI in your enterprise? Maybe suggest the right tools, the right vendors for your organization to start exploring.
How do I pick the right one?
So just imagine what AI can do for you. Global payroll payments is a huge problem. Look at your RFP. Do you have AI in your RFP? Do you interview the potential vendor to understand its product roadmap and how do they plan to leverage AI? Do you have specific use cases that you want to solve? Have you thought if AI can help with shortening the implementation? Ask your potential partner those questions. Get confident with their answer. Interact with their product team so you can be certain that they can answer your needs.
Thanks, Amit.
My pleasure.
And thanks for joining us. See you next time.